They got caught up in a cryptocurrency scam.
And now this retired Georgia couple is out there, out of their life savings.
She had done everything right. Jerry and Mindy Dunaway were retired. They had saved carefully, the way people of their generation were taught to save, consistently, without cutting corners, without gambling on long shots. By the time retirement arrived, they had built something real, something that was supposed to last the rest of their lives.
We made a mistake, and one mistake can change your life.
They got me trading early, small amounts, started getting bigger. I was able to take money out and use it for myself.
$800,000, a lifetime of discipline sitting in accounts with their names on them. Then a stranger sent Jerry a message on WhatsApp. It started in late March. The message was casual and friendly, the kind of thing that might come from someone who had the wrong number, or from someone reaching out with what looked like a genuine connection. The man on the other end introduced himself, built small talk, and slowly steered the conversation toward investing. He said he was involved in cryptocurrency. He said the returns had been exceptional. He was not aggressive. He did not push. He was patient and warm and knowledgeable, and he answered every question Jerry asked. He took weeks building trust before he suggested Jerry try anything at all.
And he was able to identify that what I was seeing on Crypto Wallet was not there.
It's been an emotional whirlwind for our family, and it's just a sad thing.
And we have to figure out how to pick up the pieces and move forward.
This approach has a name. Law enforcement calls it pig butchering, a term that comes from the practice of fattening livestock before slaughter. The victim is kept comfortable, fed with small wins, encouraged to invest more and more over weeks or months. The scammer's job in the early stage is not to take money, it is to become a trusted friend. The kind of trusted friend who just happens to know an exceptional investment opportunity. And Jerry, who had no reason to suspect a stranger on a messaging app was a professional criminal, followed the conversation where it led. He started trading through a mobile application the man directed him to. This is where the technical sophistication of this particular scam becomes important to understand. Because what happened to Jerry was not a crude fake. The application he downloaded was a real, recognized crypto trading platform, one that actually existed. The scammers did not build a fraudulent app from scratch. Instead, investigators believe they constructed a look-alike interface, in some documented cases using AI-assisted tools, that mimic the authentic app's design precisely, creating an exact visual copy that sat between Jerry and any real market activity. What Jerry saw on screen looked identical to a legitimate platform. Every chart, every balance figure, every transaction confirmation was part of that constructed layer. What I was seeing on Crypto Wallet was not there, but it looked like it was. And that mattered because what Jerry saw in those first weeks was extraordinary. The money was growing, his balance climbed, and then, the detail that locked him in completely, he was able to withdraw. Real money came out. He used it himself. When an investment allows you to pull money out and spend it, your brain registers one thing. This is real. That early withdrawal was deliberate. This is the mechanism at the core of pig butchering. Controlled access to real money in the beginning creates proof of legitimacy that no pitch or promise ever could. The victim does not believe because someone told them to believe. They believe because they held the money in their hands. Small amounts started getting bigger. Jerry kept going. The amounts kept growing. He kept believing. And Mindy, watching her husband navigate what appeared to be a genuine investment, watched the balance climb alongside him. Then last week, Jerry tried to pull out a larger sum. He could not. He tried again. Nothing went through. He stared at the screen. His heart sank. Fear started to set in. He called 911. A detective responded and examined the application. The investigation confirmed what investigators of this scam type have documented dozens of times. The real app was untouched underneath. The look-alike layer, the constructed interface that showed Jerry his phantom balance, had been running on top of it the entire time. The $800,000 Jerry and Mindy had deposited across those months had moved out of their accounts and into the scammer's control the moment each transfer was made. The growing balance on screen was never connected to any real account. The earlier withdrawals had been funded by the scammers themselves. A calculated expense, an investment in Jerry's continued belief. When the trap was ready to close, it closed completely. $800,000. Their entire life savings. Gone. Now here is what the police told Jerry next, and it is the part that does not get enough attention in coverage of these scams. The scammers may never get caught. This is not pessimism. This is the operational reality of pig butchering at scale. The money Jerry sent moved through a sequence of steps specifically designed to prevent recovery. From his account, it likely traveled to a United States-based exchange. From there, it was converted to cryptocurrency and sent to a wallet controlled by the scammers. From that wallet, it was broken up and moved through additional wallets, a process called chain hopping, before being cashed out through an overseas exchange, almost certainly in a jurisdiction with no meaningful cooperation with American law enforcement. The entire sequence from Jerry's first transfer to final cash out may have taken hours. There is no international enforcement mechanism that moves faster than that. The man who sent Jerry that first WhatsApp message in late March, who spent weeks becoming his trusted advisor, who monitored his investment progress, who calibrated exactly when to allow withdrawals and exactly when to close the trap, is almost certainly in a country where American investigators have no reach. Authorities say the scammers may never get caught. That is the sentence Jerry and Mindy now have to live with alongside everything else. But there is a narrow window that most victims never know about. If you discover a crypto fraud within 72 hours of the last transfer, it is sometimes possible to work with the originating exchange to flag and freeze the wallet on the receiving end before the funds are fully moved. Most exchanges have compliance teams that can act on verified fraud reports. The FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center, IC3.gov, is the correct first call before the police, before the bank. Filing within the first 3 days is the single best chance of any recovery. After that window, the probability drops to near zero. Jerry also faces something that has not been widely reported in coverage of his case. In some pig butchering scams, victims receive tax documents, 1099 forms, reflecting the phantom gains shown on their fake dashboard, gains they never actually received, and money that was never in any real account. The IRS has no mechanism that automatically knows the gains were fraudulent. Victims have found themselves owing taxes on money that never existed. Jerry and Mindy should have a tax attorney review this immediately. Now consider the platform the scammer chose. WhatsApp. This was not an accident. WhatsApp uses end-to-end encryption, which means the content of every message sent on the platform is protected from anyone reading it, including Meta, which owns WhatsApp. Email providers can and do scan for known scam patterns, phishing language, and fraudulent links. WhatsApp cannot. Meta cannot monitor the content of WhatsApp conversations for criminal activity. Scammers operating through WhatsApp are operating through a channel that is, by design, invisible to the company running it. It could happen to anybody. Because we were kind of blindsided, Jerry said that. And part of why it happened is that it happened through a channel specifically selected for its invisibility. There were signals, there almost always are, in hindsight, an unsolicited message from a stranger, a contact who appeared from nowhere and moved quickly to financial topics, a platform, a mobile trading app that could not be independently verified through normal channels before money was transferred. Returns that would be extraordinary if they were real. The inability to find the platform's broker registration on finra.org, the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority's public database where every licensed American investment broker must appear. These are the tripwires. None of them feel like tripwires when you are inside the trust relationship the scammer spent weeks building. And there is one more thing worth knowing about these operations. Many of the people running pig butchering scams are not free agents. In documented cases across Southeast Asia, in Cambodia, Myanmar, and Laos, scam compounds have been found where hundreds of workers are held against their will, forced to run these fraud operations under threat of violence. The scammer who built Jerry's trust over weeks may have been himself a trafficking victim, coerced into participating. This does not change what happened to Jerry and Mindy. It does change how we think about the word caught. There is also something worth understanding about why retirement savings specifically are the target. This is not random. The pig butchering operations that run out of Southeast Asia maintain detailed playbooks on victim psychology. Retirees represent a specific profile, a large consolidated sum in accessible accounts, more time available to engage with a new contact, and, critically, a generation that built trust through direct human relationships rather than algorithmic skepticism. Jerry and Mindy grew up in a world where, if a person seemed trustworthy over weeks of conversation, they probably were. That is not a flaw. That is the product of a lifetime of social experience that worked correctly in every other context. The scammers study this. They target it deliberately. The average loss per pig butchering victim in the United States, according to FBI data, is over $300,000. Jerry and Mindy's loss was more than double that average. They were not uniquely vulnerable. They were uniquely targeted. Jerry and Mindy Dunaway were uncomfortable coming forward. They said so. This is a couple who did everything right and still lost everything. The discomfort is understandable. The shame that follows these scams, the quiet internal voice that says you should have known, you should have seen it, is part of what the scammers count on. Most victims stay quiet. The scammers know that silence is part of their protection. Jerry and Mindy decided not to stay quiet. It's been an emotional whirlwind for our family, and it's just a sad thing. And we have to figure out how to pick up the pieces and move forward. Those words said aloud to a camera cost something real. They said they want others to be aware of this sophisticated scam. They want something done. Tougher laws, more resources for investigators, something that disrupts these operations before the next retired couple hands over a lifetime of savings through an app they trusted. We made a mistake. And one mistake can change your life. Jerry said that. He was not making excuses. He was issuing a warning. The machinery behind what happened to him used real technology, a real application, months of carefully managed trust, and a payment channel specifically chosen because no authority can monitor it. This was not a crude operation. It was professional, and something needs to be done at the level of law enforcement to match it. If someone in your life received an unsolicited investment message this week, on WhatsApp, on Telegram, through Instagram, and it came from someone they did not already know, that is the moment. Not after the first withdrawal succeeds, not after the balance has been growing for 2 months. That first contact is the moment. Before that contact becomes a trusted advisor, before the money moves, before the window closes, share this with someone who needs to hear it. I will see you next week.
It can happen to anybody because we were blindsided, and these people are very good at what they do, and they'll use any tactic to get you pulled in.